Or is it claim lang nung...
May mga umaamin po, Mr. Senator. Isa nga kainuman pa natin sa from second district kaibigan pa natin.
Hindi ko na kaibigan yun. Hindi ko na kaibigan.
Pero umamin naman po, pero of course they filed the counter affidavit denying everything. But lumalapit na ho sa atin to settle to. Pero of course hindi natin pagbibigyan.
Bottom line here is meron talaga mga fake PWD IDs na ginagamit nila for the discounts kasi the discounts is quite hefty, no? 20 plus 12 eh. No? So maraming mga ganitong fake PWD IDs na umiikot sa buong Pilipinas, hindi lang to sa Valenzuela or sa Bacolod. Um, we'll show a slide. Kita namin actually sa amin nga is laminated sa Bacolod is ready with QR. But we saw also in other cities, it's still the typical lina laminate. Can we show that? No? So which is easy, very easy to hear, no? Very easy to tamper with. No? These are just paper na pinapalaminate. In iba ano na talaga, no? In iba plastic, but most of the LGUs are still paper, no? Which is easy to tamper with, which is easy to print even in your house, at your own home. So, kikita natin na the ID itself is still primitive. Ngayon nga with iPhone or with any cell phone, you can have a digital ID, diba? A virtual ID. Like for example, our national ID now is it's virtual or digital. So in other words, even the issuance of the ID is still quite primitive. Um, so that's another loophole that we saw that is also creating this leakage in terms of revenue collection. And we also have a representative from Quezon City, si Attorney Cabrera. We also requested QC to share with us their experience with fake PWD IDs and also what are their actions to prevent those fake PWD IDs from happening.
Good morning, Your Honor. I have here with me example of also the Quezon City ID. Also, we have QR code as well as together.
Pagalingan kayo ni Mayor, ah.
The Bacolod. We have an improved version of our Quezon City ID, not only our QC ID, also PWD ID and Senior Citizen ID. Upon scanning this QR code, we will also verify whether if the ID is valid or not, but with the use of our QC ID website, Your Honor.
Not through the phone.
It's not through
Not
the
yet,
phone.
no?
Not
Not
yet.
yet through the phone. Okay.
We'll try to adopt the practice of Bacolod City, Your Honor.
Valenzuela will also adopt the Bacolod system. So,
As of the moment, this is one of our measures to prevent fake IDs, Your Honor.
but do you have any experiences with? I'm sure Quezon City has
Yes.
a lot.
Yes, we have a
Quezon
lot.
City is the biggest city in the whole Philippines in terms of population. So, can you
Fake-
tell us your experience about fake
s-
PWD IDs?
Fake confiscated few IDs. The recipient or the holder of the PWD ID went to our PDAO office to clean their booklet because establishments really required booklets in order to avail the discounts. So upon discovering that the holder of the fake PWD ID is not legit, we immediately confiscate their IDs, Your Honor. However, there are also few cases ongoing that we already filed in Office of the City Prosecutor. Previously, if some of you are aware, there has been an entrapment operation for an online seller of our Quezon City PWD ID, which is currently ongoing in Caloocan. Actually, today we have hearing in Caloocan regarding the online seller of fake PWD ID because the Quezon City government is really proactive in confiscating and filing cases to prevent distribution of fake PWD IDs, Your Honor.
What do you mean online seller? They're selling
Yes.
Quezon
Facebook
City
market.
PWD ID. Oh, offering.
Yes, Facebook market. And through the help of our PDAO officers, we inquire with them as to their PWD ID and we entrap them upon delivering the fake ID, sir.
The how much are they selling per ID?
I believe they are selling range 500 to 1.5.
So the same amount as Valenzuela, more or less.
Yes, more or less.
Okay. And how many have you detected over your last few years? How many fake PWD IDs have you confiscated or detected?
As of the moment, I have no rough estimate, but the PDL office has confiscated around 20 IDs, filed more or less 5 cases ongoing, and some of the cases, 3 has judgment of already servicing their sentence through community service, Your Honor.
Meron talagang na convict.
Yes po, pinupush po talaga namin. Actually, sir, meron na pong isa na nag-render na po ng community service. Meron na rin pong isang case na promulgation of judgment this December.
And they admitted that
Of course,
So,
they
they
deny.
don't
No, they
they
don't.
did not, no. So okay. But it goes just I just want to put on record and demonstrate to the body that there are fake PWD IDs. In fact, the online I heard earlier that these people who are selling fake PWD IDs are quite brazen, no, and they would just sell it in full view of everyone, no. In fact, I asked my staff to, can you real time to, no? So sabi ko maghanap ko ng fake PWD ID ngayon. Meron siya nakita, no? In Facebook, I'll show it to the body. Ngayon lang because I heard it. So so as we speak, there are still people selling fake PWD IDs in Facebook marketplace. We'll show, my staff will show it now. So in other words, it's not stopping, hindi siya yan. Where is that? Which one is that? Ayan, fake. Ayan ba? Yan, iba-ibang ID actually. Iba-ibang ID, no? But it just goes to show that meron pang may Quezon City pa. Quezon City kasi is big. Andiyan lahat ng mga establishments, andiyan lahat ng mga shopping malls, no? So it goes to show that until now, even though we're investigating this, there's still a proliferation of fake PWD IDs being offered in full view of everyone. So unless we use technology to stop this, Executive Director, tuloy-tuloy lang to. Tuloy-tuloy lang to. And unless we empower the establishments to have some form of capability to validate real time, then people will just continuously offer this because they know they're not going to get caught. And cases takes time eh. Takes time. Kahit na mag-file, it takes time. It takes a lot of executive time. It takes a lot of manpower to do it. So we really need to improve our technology in order to prevent this from happening here. Yan, iba-iba. Oh. May booklet na nga silang binibenta. 123 pesos, booklet, persons with disability. Baka pwede, meron ba kayong police power ang NCDA?
Wala po, sir. Secretariat power lang.
Secretariat
Lang po.
So you have to, who files the cases pag ganito?
Usually po, ang resolution of case, kung sino po yung issuing authority.
So it's the LGUs?
Yes,
So you will
opo.
just refer this to the LGUs?
Yes, sir.
And the
opo.
LGUs will file the cases?
Opo.
The necessary cases? Yeah, but again, it takes time. Alam ko, matrabaho for the LGUs to do all of these things. But just take note, baka pwede nyo nang inform the LGUs na nangyayari to, no? Even the booklet now. Diba? So because of that, we'll move on to our next group who is a victim of this fake PWD IDs. We invited some members of for example, the restaurant group. Here with us is the Restaurant Owners of the Philippines, represented by Mr. Eric Teng. Kayo yung mga nabi-victim because I'll show later, no, in the computation of giving discounts and VAT, the restaurant owners, the establishments in particular, also bear some cost in that discount. The government, of course, bears some cost through the deductibility, but not all deductibility is being absorbed by government. Some of it is absorbed by the establishment, and I'll demonstrate that later. So there is some form of burden sharing within the establishment and also um, government. No, so we'll call on Mr. Eric Teng to share with us his experiences and also suggestions on how to move forward.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Senator Gatchalian and esteemed member of the committee. I'm here on behalf of the Resto PH. We are representing the restaurant industry. We deeply respect, first of all, and support the rights of persons with disabilities and the benefits extended to them. However, the misuse of the fake PWD card is an issue that affects not just our business, but also the integrity of the law itself. In the end, what we want is to protect the rights of the persons with disability. What we have seen so far is that previously, 2 years ago, we detected about 5% of our sales affected by PWD discounts. Now we are seeing close to 25% or over, which is a fivefold increase in the last 2 years. This inevitably will force us to raise prices. And when we raise prices, the effect will be to harm the persons with disabilities themselves. The legitimate disabled people will be the victims of this fake PWD card. Currently, we have detected a lot of fake PWD cards, which is an obviously easy way to detect for most cases. We've had pilots who would give PWD cards for visual disability. In other words, they are legally blind pilot. We've had cases where husband and wife have the same serial number with their PWD card and they claim it's a conjugal disability. We've had a lot of amusing stories that later on it becomes less funny because they're claiming so much discount. Our industry was about $16 billion in 2023. If we were to factor about 25%, that means up to $1 billion was lost in sales for 2023 alone. And our industry is expected to double by 2029, which means that for $32 billion, if you expect 50% of that to be affected, the number would be staggering. The loss in revenue and the harm to the legitimate PWD community is very, very real, and it's a clear and present danger for the survival of the restaurant industry. We are very pleased that we have seen a lot of activities being done by the LGU of Bacolod, Mayor Benitez. Thank you very much for your efforts, and as well as with Mayor Joy Belmonte's initiative to put QR codes in the cards. That is right now what we have been asking for. We met with Director Rolova with NCDA about this, and we've asked that QR codes be mandated to be placed in all PWD cards for us to be able to help verify and protect persons with disabilities. It is not uncommon for us to have a table of 10 people. Everyone will have a PWD card. It's very regularly seen, 100% PWD card usage, where the population of disabled community in the national population is around 2% or less. So it's very easy for us to determine that it's already fraudulent card use. You've seen already the Facebook marketplace, and still there are many pessimists who believe that that is not true. You can all go to your Facebook page, click on marketplace, and just click PWD ID. You'll see hundreds of people selling, hundreds, as low as 150 pesos to 1,500 with booklet. So this is not very easy for us to police, because we don't want to be the police. We don't want to harm the reputation of our customers who come in good faith to enjoy an evening with us. However, if we are forced to do so, we just need the legitimacy or the directive from government to allow us to do so. The use of the PWD discount for supermarkets or basic commodities only entitle them to 5% discount and upon presentation of a booklet. But with restaurant, where they can claim 20%, that is without a booklet. And I fail to see the significance of why a person with disability is allowed to claim a 20% discount for a 25,000 peso bottle of whiskey or a 6,000 peso steak. These are not prime commodities. These are not healthy even for the persons with disability. And yet these are all expected from the restaurants to comply with. At the very least, we hope that we can be allowed to ask for the booklet to be presented whenever they want a discount to be applied. We are here to help. We have had conversations with the NCTA office and with the various PIDA office. And together with the DILG, whom we met with Secretary Abalos recently, we asked for their permission to allow us to post no to fake PWD signs at the storefront. And upon doing so, so many other restaurants, even from Davao City, have begun to ask how they can get such a card. And when we place those stickers in front of our store, we observe more than 50% reduction in PWD card claims. They would ask at the very front how we verify. And we don't just verify with the DOH office. We also verify with the LGUs, which is easier for us to do actually. And as Senator, how you observed that it's not unreasonable to have real-time data, that was also what we've been asking, that it's not very difficult to mandate security measures for the card itself and for data to be available for everyone to verify. After all, our only intention is to reduce the use of fake PWD cards. And I'm afraid if we see 5% to 25% in the last 2 years, you might see 25 to 50% in the next year. And this is a significant damage to everyone's reputation. So with that, thank you very much for the opportunity to present our side, sir.
So you mentioned, Mr. Tang, that based on your experience and based on your conversation with your members, that the usual 5% of your total sales is attributed to PWD sales. Now it went up to about 25%.
Yes, sir. In fact, previously, senior card citizens would outnumber PWD card discounts. Now it's the reverse. The majority is PWD card discounts, not senior card discounts. I'm a senior citizen. I hardly use the card, or we hardly see senior citizen card in the restaurants. But with PWD card, as young as a toddler, from a father, mother, son, daughter, toddler, yaya to the lola, they would all have a PWD card. It is very common to see an entire family with the same surname with PWD cards. So it's rare for a family to have 1 or 2 persons with disability. In the restaurant, we see a lot of 100% population being disabled.
So if you're talking about in the data of DOH, 1.8 million, diba? May 1.8 million PWDs tayo. So times 5, assuming that's the proxy that we will be using, that's 9 million cards. Theoretically, this is just theoretically, circulating in our society. In fact, in our estimate is about 8 million. In our estimate is about 8 million based on our research and conversation with different establishments. So more or less, the fake PWD cards, based on your experience, will be around 9 million circulating in our society, in our country.
Sir, it feels more like 9 million to us from the restaurant perspective. It seems like everyone seems to want to have a PWD card. And if I may give an observation, people don't just have one fake PWD card, they have multiples. It doesn't stop them from getting a Manila. By the way, the majority of the fake PWD cards we have detected is the white card of the Manila design, which is like a typewritten card, because anybody can just go and type any city where there's the line for the city and claim it to be the municipality of Quezon, that it's Sikatuna village or whatever, and then use that card system. That's the most easily fake. More than half of that is that white card. If we can just have a determination of security features for the card, easily more than half of the fake PWD cards can be reduced. We are not hopeful that we can eliminate the problem, but to reduce it by half is already a significant improvement, sir.
When did you see the uptick from 5% to 25%?
Sir, before the pandemic, we hardly see any PWD card discount. Actually, the pilot story happened before the pandemic. But during the pandemic, when we start talking to the restaurant owners, when we formed Resto PH, that's when everybody started sharing their information. And that's when we observed the increase from 2022 to 2024.
Do you have any idea or any analysis why after the pandemic there was a surge in fake PWD cards? Any analysis on that?
I suppose, sir, when they have a birthday and they want to celebrate and treat their friends, they want to have PWD cards, and they'll ask their friends to bring their PWD cards. The restaurants are a place for celebration, and unfortunately, I would consider us to be the biggest victim, because you can use that card 3 times a day when you eat, whereas medicine you probably buy once a week or something else. But for restaurants, we are common witness to that crime.
And there's no limitation. You mentioned that when a holder of a fake PWD card goes to a restaurant, that discount, uh, 20% and 12% applies to all the items inside that restaurant, including
sir.
alcohol.
Yes, sir. There's no rule that states that a PWD or a person with a disability cannot order whiskey
Mm.
or a cigar. So when a cigar bar or a cigar lounge or a restaurant serves such premium alcohol or wine, they are still given that discount.
Yeah. I saw that. Like I said earlier, may kaibigan ako ganyan rin. Nasa whiskey bar parate pero may PWD card siya. Hindi ko na sasabihin kung sino yun, but this is a true story. That's why it also, from personal experience, and when we were discussing this internally, we said that we have to pursue this because, and later on, I saw Asa Carlo here to demonstrate the leakage that is happening on the part of government and on the part of the establishments. And thank you very much, Mr. Teng, for sharing with us your experiences. And we also have some friends from the Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Association of the Philippines, PHAP.
Yes, good, good morning, Mr. Chair. I was earlier introduced as someone representing the Hotel and Restaurant Association. So, with all apologies to the hoteliers, no, but I do represent the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry, and honorable chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, and author of Resolution number 1239, Senator Win Gatchalian. Honorable members of the said committees, representatives from government agencies, esteemed colleagues from the private and business sector, and a warm and pleasant day to each one of you. PHAP and its members have long supported the welfare of persons with disabilities as mandated under Republic Act number 10754. We have granted vital benefits such as discounts and VAT exemptions for the purchase of life-saving medicines to PWDs, so long as the requirements, which are the PWD IDs, booklets, and prescriptions, are presented. The proliferation of fake IDs poses significant challenges to our healthcare services. While pharmacy staff check for IDs in compliance with NCDA directives, local government-issued IDs vary greatly, and there is no system for verification. If there are doubts about the legitimacy of the ID, without clear guidelines, we must often err on the side of caution, extending benefits to avoid inadvertently denying rightful beneficiaries. This increasing proliferation of fake PWD IDs may lead to several critical issues. The first is legitimate PWDs lose access to benefits as resources are diverted to unscrupulous individuals. Number two, non-PWDs unfairly deplete the supplies of innovative life-saving medicines. And number three, pharmacies bear 70% of the cost of discounts, while VAT-exempt sales result in unclaimable input VAT, negatively impacting our businesses. If we may, we respectfully recommend the following for your consideration. Number one, to standardize, if not centralize, PWD ID issuance to ensure uniformity and the ease of detection. Number two, to link IDs to a digital registry with QR codes for real-time verification, as we have seen in the examples earlier from the city of Bacolod and others. Number three, to digitalize IDs and booklets for better traceability and security. Number four, to enable businesses to claim full tax credits for the discounts that they extend. Five, empower businesses with a mechanism to confiscate fraudulent IDs under appropriate safeguards for both PWDs and establishments. And number six, to impose stiff penalties for the creation, distribution, and the use of fake IDs to deter abuse. We encourage the government to launch educational campaigns to promote the ethical use of PWD IDs, their benefits, and increase awareness of penalties for violations. We stand ready to collaborate on these measures and will submit detailed recommendations before the session ends. Thank you for the opportunity to share our position, and we are eager to support initiatives that uphold the integrity of the benefits for those who truly need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla, for your comments, especially the suggestions. I think these are quite similar to the suggestions of the restaurant group.
Yes.
No, more or less they're similar, especially the centralized database. I think that's an important recommendation so that the establishments themselves will be empowered to check real time, whether it's QR code or just go on the registry to check real time whether it's the claimant or the applicant is a real PWD or not.
Right.
We'll call on Pag-asa, Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association, represented by Director Raymond Obsena.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair. So I'm Raymond Obsena, representing Pag-asa. It's not the weather forecast, but it's the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarket Association. So basically, maybe we share the same sentiments or horror story with the restaurant association. With regards to discounting, our supermarkets are already giving 5% discount to PWDs. However, maybe just some highlights on how we could improve on giving this discount to our customer is that maybe if we could suggest this would be our suggestion from the association, if we could get a third party to handle the database of official PWD list, like for example, sir, if we could make like those driver's license, like kasi for example, ang aming mga supermarkets pinapasok ng iba't ibang klaseng tao nang gagaling sa iba't ibang lugar. So from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So we have our frontliners have no determinants on how to check if he or she is holding a legit PWD ID. So maybe if like a driver's license, pagtingin pa lang kasi ng aming mga frontliner na this would be the official PWD ID. So they would definitely know na legit ito. So maybe if we could get a third party who could assist on us on this matter. And second would be a strict guidance before the issuance of PWD IDs. That would be the second recommendations. And third would be a review of renewal for PWD. Siguro naman po yung disability ay ang ibang mga sakit ay nagagamot. So there should be like a way na like when they renew, let's say after 2 years, or if they would get another ID or if they would renew, how could we check if the disability is already healed? Or if we could continue in giving them again another valid ID. And fourthly, sir, would be we also heard some medical and dental professional extend their PWD card as benefits, aka as like pambawi sa mga medical bills, because some of the some of the professionals, you know, they charge a lot for the bill, but in exchange they offer like for example, this would be given to you as I will give you a notice that you will be a PWD, so that at least may like pambawi ka sa bills na bill sa iyo. That's why siguro kumakalat ngayon ang mga fake PWD. And lastly, sir, establishment which refuse to discount get bashed on social media, while counterfeiters get away and give rude remarks to the frontliners. So basically kasi sir, ang mga nag-implement wala silang magawa. Let's say a PWD goes into our supermarket and then handed the PWD card, tapos nakalagay doon like legally blind. Pero ang frontliner namin is paglalakihan pa ng mata ng user. So basically walang magagawa yung aming mga frontliner kung hindi just to give the discount. So if we could work on it on how to manage the issuance of those ID would be good help for the supermarket association. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I ask si Mr. Padilla and also si Mr. Obsena, how much of your sales are now attributable to PWDs? Ano lang just estimate lang. Because it also gives us the information from Mr. Teng is very important because it gives us a good appreciation on the apparent surge in fake PWD IDs. Alam natin nandyan siya, no? But we don't know how many. But with the number that Mr. Teng gave, 5 times, I think that gives us a good view on how many fake PWDs are now being circulated in our society.
Mr. Chair, at the moment, we are determining the exact amount for PWDs, but we can agree, as in with the case of Mr. Teng, that there really has been a surge in the usage, in the presentation of PWD IDs as to whether which are fake or not. This is what we have to also work on because we know that many of these are not real. Just as with some of the senior citizen cards, I think it's always been a problem with respect to what are real and what are not. And there's always been a surge because particularly I think we saw it post-pandemic. Well, pandemic, there was of course the need for more medicines, etc. But post-pandemic, the usage has also been quite significant. And we're asking our members to actually do what they can to carve out the rate, because we know that it's just been unusually high.
Also in the realm of 5 times or less lang, just to give us a...
Yeah. We have actually it's less because what helps to cut back on the rate is the booklets.
Yeah.
Which so at least those booklets, although I know that there's some that are already selling booklets, but these are not as do not proliferate as much as the cards themselves. No?
Yeah.
So those are the checks and balances involved. No? You don't just have the card, you have to have the booklet as well.
Correct. I think well, definitely the restaurants are, I would assume, is more victimized by the fake PWD cards because like what Mr. Tang said, you can eat 3 times a day and use that card, but with the pharmaceuticals, maybe it's a little less, no? Yeah. So
Correct.
how about for the supermarkets? Do you see the same surge and also the same gravity?
Yes, Mr. Chair, especially during this time of this season, that Christmas season is already here. So basically nakita natin na available na siya sa mga platform like the marketplace. So siguro maraming nanonood ngayon pag nalaman yan, magpupuntahan sila, and ang direct hit is the supermarket, I would say. Kasi basic needs, they could go, we give an outright 5% to basic needs in the supermarket. So like is that Mr. Eric? Papasok sa mga customer natin, we cannot deny them if they have the ID to present. We are all tied up na just to give them that discount because we cannot actually determine who is legit or who is not legit. Especially kung kami ng mga owner nahihirapan, what more pa kaya yung mga frontliners namin na nasa ground mismo. So that is one part dilemma we share with the restaurant business as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is it the same ratio, about 5 times? More or less lang. Gusto lang namin
I would
makapture.
say kung mas mababa kasi kami may mga 5%, maybe mga 3 times, Mr. Chair.
Mga 3 times.
Mga
But
3
definitely may surge.
Merong talagang surge, Mr. Chair, kasi mula nung na-implement na yung magbibigay talaga ng discount dapat ang mga supermarket. So starting na silang dumadating sa mga counters namin.
Wala kasi kayong whiskey. Kung linagyan nyo na whiskey yan, 5 times yan. For sure.
Siguro, Mr. Chair, pero just for basic necessity lang sa amin, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that information. We'll go back to DOF because ASEC Carlo is already here, and we requested from the DOF to share with us numbers on the foregone revenue as well as leakages, so that we'll be fully aware of what government is willing to forgo in order to support and assist our persons with disabilities. But nevertheless, this is being abused by unscrupulous individuals, and we want to also understand that aspect. So we recognize Asset Carlo?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. So before I start with the revenue foregone, so technically, definitely there's a revenue foregone because you provide discounts, 20% discount that is actually deductible to your corporate income tax, and also some VAT exemptions. But above those revenue foregone, may I also take note that if there are many fake IDs, it can also translate to higher prices for the general consumers. Because one, these businesses are here to make profit. And if the system is abused with these discounts, then the only way to recoup those losses is by putting a higher price. So I would like to take note of that. So, sir, for this one, we have several sources. We use actually many data sources because there is no actual data or actual mechanism that monitors the tax expenditure on PWD and the senior citizen discount and even the solo parent. So, if I may, the sources that we use are the 2018 Family Income Expenditure Survey, the 2023 Family Income Survey, which includes the average income data, demographic survey as well from the PSA, 2020 census and population projection, the NCDA, the BSF 2025 for the computation of the increase in expenditure, the functional disability statistics, and the national accounts. Now, for the computation of the foregone revenues, we include the following sectors. 1, medicine expenditure. 2, other health expenditure. 3, recreation expenditure. 4, restaurant expenditure. 5th, hotel expenditure. 6, funeral expenditure. And last, transport expenditure. Kasi ito, sir, yung pwede silang makuha ng VAT exemption and the 20% discount. Now, we have this aggregated. I would like to also note that these are highly preliminary estimates, right? So we have disaggregated a revenue foregone with policy expenditure and administrative leakages. So what do we mean by policy expenditure? Meaning these are revenue foregone because we provided discounts and VAT exemption, assuming there are no admin gaps. So in total, it's around 12 billion pesos for the policy expenditure itself, assuming there are no administrative gaps. But if you include the admin gaps, that's around 20.6 billion pesos, and hence a total of 32.6 billion pesos in 2025. I would like to note that this is based on the Family Income Expenditure Survey, which we all know the expenditure there is underestimated. So if you use the scaling factor, compare it to the final household consumption expenditure in our GDP, so it's like 2 times none. So it can be as high as 73 billion pesos, the foregone revenues. And about the leakage will be around 40 plus billion pesos. Again, these are highly preliminary in terms of the share of the senior citizen to the total population. It's based on a PSA. Now, for our problem is with the PWD, because as based in the PSA data, basically the PWD can be as high as around 8.5 million Filipinos. But based on the, I think it's a DOH data, it's around 1.9 million only. So there's still some room to actually revise these estimates. Again, this is highly preliminary. And what we did for the PWD, we removed the senior PWD. So in total, our estimate for the PW only that are not senior citizen, using the DOH data, it's around 1 million Filipinos. So total is, again, highly preliminary, 32.6 billion, wherein around 63% will be coming from admin leakages. 12 billion will be coming from the policy expenditure. But again, if you use the scaling factor, it can be as high as 73 billion pesos in foregone revenues. Sir, I would also like to mention when we computed for the admin gap, we take note that there must be more revenue leakages in the restaurants. So what we did there is that in the World Bank study, they mentioned that around 30% average is the admin gap in VAT, and hence that's what we use for the restaurant. That's the assumption. 30% admin gap for restaurants. But for the medicines, we only assume 15% admin gap because lesser yung mga revenue leakage there. And then for the transport, hotel, and recreation, we assume there are no admin leakages. So technically, the admin leakages in our assumption are coming from mostly from the restaurant, followed by the medicines.
So how come in our estimates is the other way around? No? We have more leakages in the PWD sector because of it's harder to detect. No? Kasi senior, pag tinignan mo mukha niya, senior na talaga, senior na siya, di ba? So, but how come in this case it's the other way around? It's more senior. The leakages is more in the senior citizen sector.
Yes, sir. So again, this is highly preliminary. Our in terms of the share of PWD in the total population, we were very conservative on that. As I mentioned, we only used 1 million Filipinos as PWD, but based on PSA, it can be as high as 8.5 million Filipinos. So it's relatively, and there are PWD that are also senior citizen. So in the DOH data, it's 1.9, but it also includes senior citizens who are also PWDs. So we have to minus that off. So so our estimate for PWD is 1 million, but that's very on the conservative side. Now, in terms of the leakages, what we include here is basically those who are quote unquote riders, meaning they're not really senior citizen, they're not really PWD, but they're using other IDs of the senior citizen and PWD to actually get those discounts. And we can see this particularly in e-commerce, right? If you go to a website, order a food, you just have to attach the ID there and you will get the discounts. There will be no verification. So that's part of our leakages. So we included those quote unquote riders, and that's part basically of the admin gap, the tax admin gap.
Yes, you made a very good point with ordering online. I think that's another dimension that we haven't seen, because when you order online, for example, you order from Grab from a restaurant and they claim a PWD ID, there's no way for the restaurant to determine if that person is really the person who's ordering is really the PWD person or somebody else. No, as long as they can, like you said, nag-ride lang siya. As long as that person rode on a PWD ID, he already is entitled to the discount. No? Ganun ba yung nangyayari ngayon?
That well, yes, most probably, particularly that many of our countrymen are transacting through online and e-commerce.
So what are the restaurants doing, Mr. Teng? Do you have any? That's another, because the one you see yung buong pamilya, that's in the physical stores, but we're also seeing the advent of online ordering, which is also growing at a very fast pace. So how is the restaurant industry keeping up with the proliferation of fake PWD IDs with online ordering?
Your Honor, with all honesty, that's the most difficult part of online sales for restaurant or delivery sales. They will order a lechon that costs 12,000 and claim it's going to be for one person's consumption, and then claim 20% discount from that. That's a very common observation. Or a giant pizza good for 10 people na there's only one consumer for that, so here's our discount card. And we hope that we can have some clarity with regards to how food delivery sales can better, that we can give protection to food delivery sales from fake PWD cards, or even legitimate PWD card or senior card abuse. Thank you.
Now, as long as they show a PWD card, they can avail of the discounts already.
To be honest, Your Honor, I already stopped making food deliveries and using Grab because we cannot control it. So from my own personal experience in our restaurants, we do not do any online delivery or any delivery sales. But my colleague here is Mr. David Season from Malu Pizza. Perhaps he can chime in.
Yes. Yeah, if we can get your personal experience,
Yes.
that'll be better, no, for the discussion.
Yes,
But going back to Mr. Tang, you stopped because of this issue.
Yes, sir. Apart from the exorbitant fees of delivery costs from Grab or before Food Panda, and if you add on to that the discount from PWD and senior citizen, it's an absolute loss. So there's no reason for us to get into that business model.
But before I call on Mr. Season, the restaurants and establishments are allowed to file deductibility. No? As for example, the PWD discounts, it can be part of your expense, correct?
Sir, if we were to claim 100%, then it becomes a tax credit virtually, which right now it's not. So we can only claim it against our taxable income, a reduction in our taxable income. So the full amount is not reflected, the full amount of our expenditure is not reflected in the reduction of our taxes, sir.
How much does restaurants absorb the discounts? More or less lang. I just want to put that on record that because people understand that it's deductible. So in other words, it's government that's absorbing the discounts through lesser income tax, diba? But because it's not tax credit, it's a deductibility or deductible, then part of that is being absorbed by the establishment. How much does the establishments absorb in terms of deductibilities?
Last year, my accountant tells me it's less than 5% that we can use for the discount on our taxes. So easily we absorb more than 15% of that 20%, or rather 3/4 of that 20%. That is an absolute expense on our part, sir.
So in other words, in the 20% that you give, you absorb 15%.
Yes, sir.
And the
More
five
than that.
and the 5% goes to the deductibility.
Less than that. So probably around 3 to 5%.
3 to 5%.
Unless my accountant made a mistake.
Well, in our computation, it's 75% absorbed by the establishment, which is consistent with our internal computation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So in other words, just put on record and just to be clear, when you give a discount, and even though it's allowed as a deductible, it's the establishment still absorbs 75% of the cost, no? Or 15% of that 20%.
Yes, sir. 3/4 of that 20% is
correct.
absorbed by us.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes, Mr. Padilla.
Yes, Mr. Chair, just as in with the restaurant scenario, with the drugstores, the pharmacies, all of these that give the discounts, the calculations we had were about 70% really is absorbed by the establishment. No? And I think what really will be fair would be for everyone is to get a full tax credit on all of these discounts being provided. So even whether it's the inconvenience and the loss to the owners, no, for actually this is like a welfare program that's being absorbed by the private sector, no. So I think we should consider that, Mr. Chair.
A whole new discussion because the principle of this original law is the society, all of us, has a responsibility to assist and support persons with disability. So meaning establishments, taxpayers, government has a responsibility to assist. Now changing that dimension is of course another debate that we have to do later on. But I just want to emphasize that in giving that discount, it's not purely government absorbing it. The establishment absorbs 70 to 75% of it. And this is where Asa Carlo mentioned that 75% absorption will be pushed into the prices. No? So meaning in order to maintain the profit margin, no? Because obviously all of businesses have some target profit margin, it will be given to it. I mean, the prices of other products will go up. No?
And as a result, Mr. Chair, there are some products that will are also constrained from having their prices raised because they're under government mandate to keep them at a certain level, like in medicines, for example. So that's why a number of establishments choose either not to sell those or get or close shop or get absorbed by others. So again, there's a dynamic, no? And in the end, it translates to less revenue for us, for the government.
Yeah, that's true. What aggravates the situation is the proliferation of fake PWD cards. No, I think if it's bona fide PWD or a real PWD, then I think there's no debate with that. But if you are subsidizing, in effect, or giving discounts to people who are not PWDs but they have PWD cards, then that really distorts everything. So we call Mr. Season.
Yes, Your Honor. Regarding your question on what we do with orders through Grab or online, as long as it's a legitimate card, we honor the discount. So regardless of the size as well, if it's a whole pizza that they order, we also honor we discount the whole if it's just one PWD that orders.
Thank you. So in other words, the discount applies to that one single order, as opposed to eating in a restaurant only to that particular PWD. So in other words, the cost for online in terms of the cost absorption or the discount absorption online is greater than the brick and mortar restaurants.
That is correct, Your Honor. Yes.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair,
Thank you.
if I
Yeah,
may.
go ahead, Secretary.
Aside from the discounts that are actually deductible to your corporate income tax, we would also like to note that when you have VAT exemption, if the transaction is VAT exempted, ipit na po yung input VAT, and hence it's technically a sunk cost to them. There's no way for them to actually recoup that input VAT if the transaction is VAT exempt.
So that's another aspect that a lot of our constituents do not understand, no? Because that's quite technical, but definitely the input VAT that you can claim if you have output is beneficial to the establishments. But if you don't have any output, then that becomes useless. The input VAT becomes useless, no? And it actually becomes a cost, no? In effect, to establishments. So but again, with the proliferation of times 5 PWD fake PWD cards, that cost now will increase 5 times theoretically, diba? So that's why we need to really curb this issue of fake PWD cards. But we'll show you we have our own internal computation, and we want to share it with the body using the same data, FICE, LFS, national accounts in PSA, and then consumer price index. We estimated there, no? And actually, our estimates is quite near to the experience of Mr. Teng. There are about 1.8 million legitimate PWD cards. Our estimates about the illegitimate is about 8.5 million, almost 5 times more or less. And then the discounts availed system-wide, meaning government plus the establishments, it's about 208 billion pesos, because the establishments also they absorb the discounts. So if you compute everything, it's about 208 billion. 166 of that goes to illegitimate PWDs or illegitimate PWD cards. Because mas malaki yung illegitimate PWD cards kaysa sa legitimate. No? So we're actually, the establishments are actually absorbing more for the fake PWD cards rather than the legitimate PWDs going to their establishment. In terms of tax leakage, system-wide, it's about 110 million, meaning 110 billion, sorry, uh, um, are um are supposed to go to the government. No? But 88 billion of that is illegitimate because the source is obviously from illegitimate or fake PWD cards. So our numbers are quite big, as a Carlo, because we use the reason why our numbers are big because of the 5 times increase in terms of the number of fake PWD cards. No, we use that factor. But again, these are estimates, and we're very happy to work with all of you to validate our estimates. But the tax leakage is very hard to that's very hard to capture because it's tax leakage. You don't know the exact number of fake PWD cards out there. No, so we will only have experiences and information from people like Mr. Teng to tell us their estimate on the number of fake PWD cards. No, so in short, the taxes that is supposed to go to government but is not going to government because of the fake PWD cards is about 88 billion pesos. So that's our estimate. We also have some we also have some friends from the LCP, the League of Cities of the Philippines. Any comments, sir, regarding this issue?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, and esteemed body. Actually, our national chairperson, Mayor Albi, has already spoken earlier.
Ito pala
Um,
ang,
Yes, yes. But also, just a short manifestation from us is that echoing the concerns of the business sector, we would appreciate some measures regarding the clarity in the penal provisions for manufacturers against those manufacturers of fake IDs. Right now, there's not much details about the legal standing of who can be the plaintiff, except for the LGUs prosecuting either the fake ID users or manufacturers themselves. Secondly, and lastly, we took note of our city's best practices, and we can use our regular National Executive Board meetings to showcase these best practices to our other cities. For example, yung application of QR code tech, and then the issuance of ordinance to authority to confiscate fake IDs. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We call on LTFRB. This is in relation to fares. Any comments? Attorney Viray?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. The LTFRB has issuances relative the discounts to be provided to PWDs, particularly MC 2011 -004, Your Honor, and MC 2018-004. It requires the operators of public utilities to provide discounts to PWDs, Your Honor. But as to the determination of the PWD ID, if it is fake or genuine, it would appear, Your Honor, that the operators or drivers have difficulty in doing so. So unless the national government follows the practice of Bacolod City, Your Honor, which has the QR code, then the proliferation of fake IDs would subsist, Your Honor. As being a former local chief executive, Your Honor, our municipality only issues the paper type card or paper type ID. And the only way I could determine if that ID is fake or not, if my signature is fake or not, Your Honor. So there's the issuances, or there are the issuances of the LTFRB relative to the granting of discounts, and it would appear as manifested that unless there are safety measures which are taken, Your Honor, it would be difficult for the service provider, the public utility provider,
to determine if the said ID is fake or not. Thank you, Your Honor.